Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome to the 41st ETP4HPC webinar. I am Pascal. I'm ETP4HPC's Communication Manager. For those of you who are not familiar with ETP4HPC, we are a non-profit association that promotes European research and innovation in HPC. And we are a private member of the EuroHPC-JU, and our role is to propose research priorities for Europe in the area of HPC. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, because we are going to talk about a white paper that we are preparing, which deals with research applications and workflows. So it's our recommendations on these topics. So we are really at the heart of our mission. So to start, I have a few practical information for you. So this webinar is recorded. You will receive the link to the recording tomorrow. The webinar is in listen-only mode, but there is a number of ways you can interact with us, and actually more than usual. I will get to this. So you can ask questions in the question tool. You can see the chat. You can see the list of attendees. You can download handouts. We have two today. We have the summary of the white paper that we sent in the reminders, in the reminder emails. So it's here. You can download it, and the slides can also be downloaded in the handout section. I think it's called materials now. Questions we will address at the end of the webinar because it's easier for everyone. Now, today is a special webinar. It's interactive. We announced it. So there is another way, other ways to give your feedback. And actually, we do expect your feedback. We rely on it to build the white paper. So we have prepared questions for you. Well, when I say we, I mean the speakers, not me. They have prepared questions for you in Mentimeter. So please have your smartphone ready to use Mentimeter. It's easier, I think, for you to answer the questions on your smartphone and see the session in the browser in a GoToWebinar. And we will also email a Google form after the webinar to have even more feedback from you. So we hope you'll enjoy this interactive session. If it's a success, we plan to organize other interactive webinars. And if there are glitches, well, it's our first time, so we'll do better next time. So let's introduce our speakers. Marco Verdicchio, who is Senior Advisor in the HPC and Visualization team at SURF, and Manuel Torres Rodriguez, who is HPC Advisor at SURF. So really a very big thank you to both of them because they've done a tremendous job preparing this session. I would also like to thank Sagar Dolas, who is Senior Advisor and Program Manager in the Innovation Department at SURF, and Sai, who is
Hello.
the SRA leader at ETP4HPC. They both initiated this session. Also, there is someone I did not mention here, but I don't know if she's here today, but Maike Gilio, she's the one who said we should do interactive webinars.
Yeah, I think I can see Maike.
She
Yes,
was
yes.
right. I think it's going to be great. So, Sai, did you want to say a word about the SRA
Yes, sure,
and the
sure. Yeah,
context? I will
sure.
just
Yeah,
display the agenda while you talk.
sure. Yeah, just to give you a quick context of this whole activity of this series of webinars. So we released the SRA early 2025 with a set of backing white papers corresponding to the different topics. Now we are in this process of doing this so-called agile white papers, which goes into some in-depth on some specific topics that we identify as important to the community and to the policy papers. So we have 5 topics that we have identified as these specific agile white papers. So the first one you're going to listen today is on the research applications and workflows. Then we have other activities going on in the area of energy efficiency, in the area of status of SMEs in Europe. Then we have the topic on IO and storage technologies, and then we have the topic on federation. So with this context in mind, then I would hand you back to Pascal then. So we are really looking forward to this interactive webinar for the first time.
Thank,
So yeah, back to
thank
you.
you, thank you, Sai. So this is where I'm going to hand over to our speakers. So we're going to have a short presentation and then the interactive session, the Mentimeter session, and they will explain everything. And at the end, we'll have a Q&A. So if you ask questions, we will answer them at the end. Okay, Marco, Manuel, the floor is yours. Thank you for this, and let's go.
Thank you, Pascal. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you, Sai, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. I'm sharing my screen.
Yes,
I
we
hope
can
you
see
can
it.
see. So yeah, today with my colleagues from SURF, we have prepared a presentation to show you our work, the work we are doing for the SRA white paper on research application and workflows, and as anticipated by Pascal and Sai, to make you participant in the consolidating the ideas that we want to propose into this paper. So the webinar is scheduled in a short 10-15 minutes presentation where I'll give you an introduction of what we do basically at SURF, how we end up with the idea of this white paper, and giving you a little bit more of context of the different topics that we tackle in this white paper. To then move for the second half of the hour to an interactive session where we would like to ask you questions on the challenges and recommendations that we propose and trying to understand the type of audience and if there are any challenges and recommendations that we have missed and we should include. Said that, I want to start by introducing a little bit SURF. So as Pascal said, the organizer of this webinar, we are from SURF, and SURF is a ICT cooperative association of Dutch educational and research institutions, and we work to make education research better in the Netherlands and in Europe. Our work, if we focus on the HPC ecosystem that we work with at SURF, is not only to provide access to our tier 1 national supercomputer, but actually we work with all the stack from tier 2 regional and local center to tier 0 system in Europe, in which SURF is partner or collaborating with, to integrate researcher and applications, all the stack from tier 2 to tier 0 systems. And not only access and application, but also support for federation, trainings, and specialized services. So why are we interested in workflows? Well, not only in the Netherlands we saw this, I think everywhere is clear and is already going for years. The current scientific challenges become more and more demanding, cross-disciplinary. They require integration of different infrastructure. And the more these develop, the more new methodology and algorithm and compute patterns came out, the more workflow becomes central in how science is performed. And nowadays, we see also a shift from traditional computational workflow, more linear, towards more dynamic adapting system, which require orchestration also across different infrastructure, not single system, still maintaining requirements of high compute power, integrated data management. And we saw also that users nowadays interact, especially with the HPC system, in new ways and still expecting efficiency and performance. We see more and more requests for interactive environments, different type of application, automation, flexibility, etc. And you see these, for example, nowadays on the data management part. Nowadays, researchers are involved much more deeply in the data life cycle of their computational workflow, and the capabilities, the things that we can do with data from sensor and instrument to data processing, post-processing, analyzing, and in all of these, keeping all the data fair, so accessible, interoperable, it becomes challenging when it's done all manually and by small groups and teams. we saw, and I don't have to demonstrate here, how AI has changed also the way of working and the way how a lot of science is performed. So we've seen AI entering in classical modeling as a support and accelerator, but also we have new workloads that now are taking over HPC systems like training, inference, and a lot of other also federated learning and other type of paradigm of computing that have changed how workflows are currently run and have been run. Of course, there's been also an explosion of what are so-called the digital twins. Here also we come up to with a total different type of problems, from coupling multi-scale modeling to having systems that can interact with live data feed from actual real physical systems, with the request also for analyzing this data in real time or through visual interfaces or interactive interfaces. And in Europe, this is not something new. We've been working, and there have been already plenty of initiatives working from one side in strengthening the applications and the domain workflow and making application more performant, developing tools and domain-specific software that can run in a workflow fashion. And from the other side, also the infrastructure are preparing for this. There have been more and more projects that actually work towards an ecosystem of federated HPC, cloud, and HTC systems, and network connectivity, so coupling also of HPC and cloud. And this is not only picked up by infrastructure provider, platform provider, but is also on the roadmap and the multi-annual strategic planning of EuroHPC. Aside from the organizational and projects in Europe, there is also a formation of a larger community of interest around the workflow. There are many in different sector and domain, and one to which we started the surf collaborating recently, but there's already years of work done in the past, is the workflow community some initiative. You can access at the website that you see here in the slide, where they try to collectively form a community center around scientific workflows. One of the initiative that this community is taking over is also to organize regular community summits. At SURF in June this year, we hosted one live event, one community summit in person, but there have been also past event online, and there will be another online that I will also discuss more in details later in December, that I invite you all to check on the website and attend if possible, if you're interested in these topics. We have also try to promote and talk as much as possible about workflow. We've done already a symposium, a PASC this year in June on challenges, opportunity on research application and workflow. And we are planning also on future events at ISC. We are organizing with other partners a bird of feather on the workflow community, and we are planning for next year to have more follow-up meetings and discussion like this one or in similar type of venue, and potentially also community events linked with the EuroHPC and the EuroHPC Summit. So why then the white paper? So the idea we had, as I explained, the scope of this white paper, it was to create a document, a paper, with the scope of exploring the role of workflow in today's science engineering landscape. So we partnered with the other center. Here I list some of them, and we have other contributors that have accepted also to provide their feedback. And the idea is not to prepare a paper on the status of workflow or categorization of the tools. There are already initiatives doing that. It's not the scope of this paper only, but the idea was really to identify across some flagship and well-known application identify specific challenges that we can then analyze and propose a recommendation that then can be picked up by EuroHPC organizations and body, and the ETP4HPC can actually use in their agile mode of this kind of release of papers and provide to other members. So the paper is divided in 3 sections. The first part, we identified 5 class workflow applications, macro categories that may include different type of workflow across different domains. Some workflow do not present a single pattern, but it can be a composition of multiple of these patterns. But we identified these 5 that you see as screen now. So simulation and modeling and design, instrument-driven discovery, combining physical and digital environment, AI, machine learning type of workloads, and the digital twins. We then analyzed this pattern based on 4 elements of design that we identified as characterizing of this application, and is compute, data, time, and automation. And based on the characteristic of these different applications workflow, we came up with a set of challenges. You will see more on the specific challenges that we want also to check with you in the Mentimeter. I'm not going through the details in this presentation, but we can group these challenges around the 5 main topics: workflow orchestration, security, identity and compliance, support for the scientific process, workflow specification, and knowledge and skills. There are more information in the executive summary that we shared with you, and you will see also some of the more specific questions on each of these groups in the Mentimeter that you can actually rate and rank. And these challenges were not only on the technology side, but we tried to also look across from technology to processes and procedure on operational procedure to policies at the policymaker level. So we tried to cover all these aspects. Based on these policies, we then want to provide a set of recommendations that then, as I said, that can be picked up by more steering group and organization that can decide, or they can reuse this information for promoting more workflow. And this is where your contribution also in today's Mentimeter and in the follow-up Google form is very important, because the stronger, the more motivated are this recommendation, the more complete, the better is to, and the more strong is our message. The recommendation also we grouped in 3 main categories: ecosystem harmonization, workflow aware infrastructure design, and sustainability, sustaining workflow readiness. Again, also for this, we have a more specific recommendation that you can see and you will see in the Mentimeter part. So then, what is the roadmap? What is the journey we did and we plan to have with this white paper? So as I said, the main discussion started early this year, and with the preparation of the Workflow Community Summit, when we had the opportunity to interact with other research institute members and the people interested and already working for years into the workflow community. We then started discussing with SAI and with other partner collaborators on the preparation of this white paper around July, and we've worked until now to prepare the main draft of the paper and to present it to you today in this webinar, and use this webinar before the final submission to actually collect feedback from the community, from you. So you will see, you will have a way of not only providing feedback and your opinion on our proposed recommendation and challenges, but through the Google form, you can actually add your own view and your own ideas to that we can also include in the white paper. In October, at beginning of October, we plan to finalize the white paper and deliver it. And then, as I explained, this will work more in agile mode. So we don't want to have the white paper as a static document that's end our job and when the document is published, but we want to keep analyzing and refining recommendation and challenges identified. And for this, for example, we are planning to have an online edition of the Workflow Community Summit in December after SC. That again, I invite all to check on the Workflow community website for the when it's gonna happen. And there we can use the input and refine some of the inputs that we collected in this white paper to then use it in the first quarter of 2026 for as a feedback to a first meeting of the REAG EuroHPC that can discuss the multi-annual strategic planning, the next one, and include or try to address some of our recommendations in that roadmap. So let's get more in details to the practical session. So how you can provide feedback. As I said, now the second part of this meeting will be focused around the Mentimeter session, where you can indicate your area of interest, what type of domain you work in, your experience with workflow, but also and especially giving your priorities. So what you think the priorities for the challenges and some of the recommendation that we propose in the white paper. Of course, because of how the Mentimeter is structured and because this kind of webinar does not allow for long feedback and discussion and Q&A, we also prepared a Google form that the link will be shared in this presentation at the end of the Mentimeter, but also later on in the after webinar emails. We have a Google form where you can actually provide more extensive feedback on a description of your workflow, giving your contact to be contacted back. And we will keep this form open with this survey up to the Workflow Community Summit meeting in December. But if you would like to provide feedback to be included or considered for the white paper, please provide that before beginning of October, because the deadline for the paper is around the 10th of October. So we need to include any changes into that. So for the Mentimeter session, so indicatively we expect to be around 30 minutes. These are it's divided in 4 parts: attendees profiling, more deep into the scientific application and workflow, then an analysis of both cross-cutting challenges and recommendation to provide feedback and give a priority to what you think is important. And I think this is the conclusion of my presentation. I'll come back on this slide maybe later. Now I think you should be able to see the Mentimeter login details.
We can see Mentimeter. I also put the URL and code in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, so please, you can or scan the QR code with your phone or with any device with a camera, or if you log in at the menti.com website and enter the code that you see on screen, you should be able also to see the same slide. That should be the slide or the first slide that you see at the Mentimeter. I'll wait also for a more couple of minutes. I see 25 people logged in. Thank you also for all the thumbs up. Feel free to also provide feedback through that if it's clear, not clear, or wrong according to you. We are happy. Every feedback is a good feedback for us at this stage. Also, if you have any problems connecting or not working, please write also in the chat. My colleagues and
the questions, because they can't use the
yes,
chat, but
yeah,
you can, if you have a
question.
technical issue, you can ask a questions in the question tool. I'm monitoring it. We already have a question,
Yes.
but it's more about the content, so we'll have it later.
Okay. Yes, for questions, just a reminder, for question we will have 5-10 minutes at the end where we can look at any questions and go more in details of some of the topics. I see there are 29 people in the Mentimeter. I think we can
yeah, we can start.
maybe
I think.
start. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so as I move, you should be able also to, you should see also the question on your on the device you use to log in. So the first question, the first few questions are more to characterize, understand for us, the audience. So which categories, which describe your background. Feel free also, good feedback also if other is your choice. In that case, we really, I really strongly advise whoever votes or like select a lot of others to really contact us back in our through our form to also characterize better also your position, your job, and the interest or what areas you've been working with the workflows.
Don't forget to click on submit to send your answer.
Correct.
Because on your phone it's not always visible. You know, I'm doing it at the same time.
Thank you.
I'm one of the others.
Okay, I see 28 out of 30 people voted, so I think we can go on.
Yeah.
So this is open question, so please drop any word, any word you think describe the domain you work in, research, technical, CFD, or other. As detailed as you like. We saw in the previous questions many researchers, scientists, so I'm not surprised to see a lot of scientific domain, HPC, data management.
It's still time to join the Mentimeter session if you haven't already. It's just look at the chat. The link and code are in the chat. They are pinned. You can also do it in a browser. You don't have to have a smartphone, but honestly, it's more convenient on your smartphone.
Yep. Okay, so let's move on. Then how familiar? Let's get more into workflow topic. So how familiar are you with the computational workflow? Also, if you don't work with it, you don't have experience, we had that option as well. Also, these help us understanding if targeted group is more on advanced or beginners. Very nice distribution. Okay, then I think we can go on. This part is the way how you interact with the workflow. So what type, are you an end user, more a trainer, educator? You work in project or mainly project coordinator of project that, use workflow, but you don't actively use or develop any tools. Deployment operation is more HPC infrastructure provider or any people that works on deployment and configuring.
Oh, it seems we don't have any policymaker on board today. That's a pity.
It's interesting also to see a lot of application developers and deployment, although many researchers in the audience. Okay, then thanks for the feedback. We can move on the following questions that are on more specifically on characterizing the application and the workflows that you work with. So again, if you remember the different application we characterized, these are reported here, and we are asking like which you think of the workflow that we identified really match your current work. You can also vote, as I said, these are not module exclusive. There may be workflow that operates with different of these different components of this class of application. So you can choose up to 3 different options. And as I said, not represented. Please, if we haven't represented your workflow, you think it's a different type of applications, please encourage to fill in more information in the form that we provide after the webinar, because it will be interesting to understand what type of workflow we haven't really considered.
There is a clear majority here.
Yes, yes. Being also HPC, I was expecting that. I'm happy to see also digital twins and the model training. I'm curious they're not represented what type of application they will describe themselves. Okay, I think we got almost all response. So then let's, considering your workflow and the class, the element of design that we identified, compute, data, automation, and time. Regarding the compute pattern, what do you think will more fit your workflow between these categorization? Highly demanding, flexible and composable, AI enabled, or federated computing? Again, this is with respect to the compute part. Expected from the response of the previous question. Highly demanding HPC scale seems to be the majority here. Okay, then we can move on the next one that's more focusing on the time sensitivity. So how critical is time for your workflow? So not critical like batch submitting or run and not having any time constraint, or time critical when you read, for example, low latency, real time, or urgent. That's kind of different from time critical. Urgent is we intend for urgent when it needs to be executed within a specific time frame that can be quite short or in medium term, but it has the requirement to need to be executed within a specific time frame. Whereas time critical is more than response of the workflow are needed within a certain interval of time. So low latency, real time.
A short message for anybody who joined the meeting, the webinar, who just joined, I mean. If you want to join the Mentimeter session, the link and code are in the chat there. It's pinned in the chat. So please, if you joined the webinar late, you can still participate.
Yes, thanks, Pastor. Okay, I think we can then move on the next question. That's on the data patterns of the workflow, of your workflow. So which patterns dominate. Again, you can also choose more than one option here. So staging, data transport, data streaming, storage, or other type of data patterns, if you have any. So just in the meantime that we wait for the questions, in the Google form that we will provide after the meeting, there is also a part, of course, not mandatory, but it's very appreciated, where you can actually describe more in detail the scientific domain and the technical characteristic of your workflow. So that's our open questions where you can drop there really any kind of information you would like to share with us. So again, if you do not recognize yourself with this categorization, or you think that we should add different or consider different aspect, please let us know through the Google form after, or contacting us directly. That's also a way to reach us out. Staging and storage seems to be the most prominent. Then the last part is about the automation of your workflow. So to what extent your workflow is automated. At the moment, not what the level you would like, but actually what you currently able to do with your workflow. That's the part we are interested in. We added here also the option, of course, there is mostly manual, semi-automated, fully automated. We also added the option of event triggered, so reactive workflow that are not started by a user, but triggered by events or instruments in many cases.
Come on, only 21 answered. I'm sure more of you can contribute to this.
Yes. I see 34 people logged
Yeah,
in.
34 people. Yeah.
But it can be also that if people are not working or don't have their own workflow, they're working mostly on the deployment of others or working on different type of workflow. Also, okay to skip these questions. The interesting feedback comes after this. Okay, I think looking at the time as well, then I'd like to move to the second part, also the Mentimeter. And as I said here, we would like to get your feedback, so giving you the possibility to vote, to rate the challenges that we propose. So I show you before we grouped challenges in different aspects that we saw important, and for each of that we have different more detailed challenges that we foresee for this kind of application. What we ask you to, with a slide, to give a vote from 1 to 5, I think it is, 1 being not challenging at all to you, in your opinion, 5 being extremely challenging. So provide with the slides to rate the different challenges. So in this case, for the support of scientific process type of topic, we see replicating and porting workflow, reusing components, tracking provenance, obtaining validated trustworthy results, discovering and accessing existing standard and best practices, and adoption of a common format. Again, I keep advertising this in the meantime that people take their time to rate these challenges. If you want to discuss also some of these challenges again in the meeting, we don't have time to go through in details of on any. If you not only want to propose other challenges, but want to discuss or confirm also more details, some of the topic of the information we presented, again, the Google form, or reach out to our email. That's also in the presentation first slide. Is more than appreciated. Is really.
Yes, the slides
Okay.
can be downloaded from this webinar. So if you, and you'll have everything in them. So feel free to go to the materials section of GoToWebinar, and you can get the slides right away.
Okay, I see. Quite balanced both. That from one side tell us that yeah, we identify, we found like acceptable challenges. Being all around 3, maybe don't see people these as extremely challenging, or maybe it's very much average out. Okay, so moving on the second group of challenges, it was more on the workflow specification. Here there are less options, but at the same, please rate 1 to 5. And here the 3 that we want to propose is translating scientific problem into executable computational tasks, balancing abstraction and domain-specific requirements, and then reliable execution coupled with, again, usability, of course. So what do you think is challenging in your current way of working, or what are bottlenecks also that you're facing that can be connected to some of these challenges? So here, quite balanced the results. I'm curious also more on the individual results. Okay, then see more or less stable voting. The following group of challenges is on around workflow orchestration. So here also, how challenges to manage multiple, usually a high number of tasks within a single system. And then moving on more, how is it orchestrating across different systems, so on different infrastructure. And with orchestrate, it's not only computational task, but you can consider there also data interfaces, analysis, pre and post processing. Third point, working with complex dependencies. So yeah, non-linear workflows with dependency, conditional, event triggered steps sometimes. Fourth part on ensuring checkpointing and restartability. And the last challenge is how challenges error handling and managing fault tolerance, especially on large scale HPC systems where node failure or hardware failure becomes more significant in statistically, and especially when you start coupling multiple infrastructure and platform. Okay, I think like more people voting on this one, but I think we can move on the next parts of the challenges, and this is more on data management. And here we ask you how easy or challenging is, for example, to automate data staging and movement. So again, not manual, but automated and integrated with the compute workflow, for example. How easy is for you to connect your workflow to data storage facilities like data lakes, archive tapes, or external repository, especially for data-intensive research. Another aspect that not everyone actually is working with, but we saw becoming more and more important, is how to hide data management to end users. So hiding all the steps of staging and storing data, moving data across systems, make it that more invisible to the user and more automated. Access and working with sensitive data. Let's see, repetition of end, and the last one on how difficult it is for you to keep your data fair. So more on the interaction with metadata, findability, reusability of data across the workflow. Okay. I think everybody voted. We stabilized around 21 people, 22. So we can move on the another part of the challenges still, security, identity, and compliance. So how challenging is to manage authentication authorization across different systems with, of course, different user administration. How difficult it is to comply with policies and legal frameworks. Especially also when especially important for workflow when we think of workflow that span on systems across different countries with different ideally policies and also legislation for data usage access. And the last question is more on the ownership. So workflow are usually multi-components and not always the control is on the end user or on the developer of all the components. How much this you see it as a challenge and critical for the workflow you work on. As expected, I see also here the more higher ranking toward more challenging, and we know how security and identity especially are still difficult and okay, so looking at the time, I'll like to move forward maybe a little bit more quickly, and this is the last group of challenges is on the knowledge and skills. So this is more focusing on the skills and knowledge around workflow, best practices, documentation software and tools. So accessing expertise, so workflow engineering, not simple software engineer or researcher, but really the specific skills of workflow engineer. How easy is to find these in your team or collaborations. Then an aspect on knowledge transfers across technical and scientific domains, so reusing components or best practice or tool developed in other community, how easy it has been in your experience to adopt them in your workflow. Then finding documentation, best practices, guideline, and the last one more What's your experience in finding initiatives, other projects, centralized documentation around workflow that has been easier or challenging than you would expect, more of a centralized support? Okay, then the last, before moving on the final part of the recommendation, we want to ask, and this is more for you to rank for the most on the top to the least challenging of these kind of points that we put here. So what do you think is the challenge in general on the list here, sorry, that impacts the most your productivity? So from the most impactful to the least one, ideally. So you can, through Mentimeter, you should be able to provide the rank and then submit. Running a little bit late, so maybe we can shrink the Q&A or remain after 12.
Marco, so we are also already trying to answer some questions in the chat as well. So
Okay,
it's also
good.
ongoing parallelly.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay. Then similarly, on the with the ranking system, we would like to check with you, what do you think instead is the option between the one that we provide here that would enhance the most your research productivity? So these should be some sort of towards idea of a recommendation. So what would be the options here that you see that can help you the most in your daily research work?
So if you have questions, you can ask them in the question panel, and Saga has been answering the questions. So actually, most of those who asked a question already had an answer from Saga. So it works.
Thank you.
And actually, we note your name and email so that they can get back to you if necessary.
Yes, yes. I'll show also later at the end all contact possibilities. Happy to reach out. Okay, so thanks everyone for this answer. Then the last part, the only three section is on recommendation. So here the idea is similar to the challenges that you saw before, to rate from the not important to extremely relevant which of these recommendations. So try to give a priority, how urgent is for you these kind of recommendations, or how, yeah, maybe can be addressed later on and longer term. So 5 for extremely relevant, 1 for not important. So here for the harmonization, we have incentivized standardization. better support for emerging technology like AI-assisted workflows or tool or smart schedulers. And the last one is more on the knowledge integration, so more coordinated effort to promote best practices and share solution and results.
Maybe Pascal, just a quick reminder that the responses to the questions are directly going to the person asking the question, not in the group community chat.
Yes, if you want everybody to see them, you need to say answer all. But I will go over the questions maybe in the chat, because I saw your answer. I think it would be nice to go over them for everyone. Let's finish the Mentimeter, and then we'll quickly go over the questions.
Yes. So the second part of recommendation is on the workflow aware infrastructure design. So similar, provide your level of priority for procurement strategies should be move from just metrics based on raw performance, and they should more include science-based metrics or that consider the what we call here total cost of ownership of science. So not just S-scale performance, but actually a workflow that can fully utilize the system, or a workflow-centric platform for interoperability, collaborative environment, more flexible environment also for integrating also this component of workflows. And last recommendation is on access policies, more unified and transparent for workflow. Okay, then thank you. Then the last recommendation group is on the sustaining, maintaining, promoting workflow readiness. So support for scientific application and workflow beyond individual project life cycle. These apply in general to all application, but is especially important for workflow when you have multiple components. And as I said, also ownership is not clear and well defined, and maybe critical to have a funding that support certain components after project ends. Policy bodies must be more considerable of sustainable mechanism to add more sustainability into programs. And the last one, to improve support for workflow. So really around promoting more the figure of the workflow engineer and way of having support in that kind of aspect. Okay, thank you. I think we assessed it around 16. Okay, then looking also at the time, we'll move on the last questions. Here also will be very interesting with respect to the recommendation that we presented, to have a rank from you on which priority for EU investment this recommendation that you see showed here should have. So similar rank as the question before, from the lowest priority to the highest priority. What do you think should the investment of EU focus.
That's a key point.
Yes. We hope also that from this will match sort of the responses we got previously in the recommendation, so align with the trend where certain recommendations, certain challenges have been marked as more urgent and more relevant. We hope we will see similar trend in this slide as well.
I think, Pascal, since this is the last Mentimeter question, we can also start addressing the question if you want. Still, the people give responses.
Okay, so I think the first question, I have copied the question into, well, most of them, I think, into the chat. So there was one from Henry Strauss, and I think it might be of interest to everyone. Are you cooperating with or looking at the research software engineering community? For example, there is a German chapter, and he gives the URL. I attended their very interesting conference in the beginning of this year. So I saw Sagar answered him. So I think this could be of interest to other people. And I think you will look at it, won't you, Marco, Manuel? And
yeah,
there was
I'll
a
definitely look
remark
into
from,
that.
yeah. Then there was a remark from Anne-Bernard Bedouet. This is about using Google Form. Yeah, it's difficult to find a tool that everyone can use, but point taken, maybe we can find another way to communicate with Anne Bernard. Okay, we'll look at it.
And
Yes.
and there in the meantime, they can also reach us by email. So
Yes.
Yeah,
they don't need to submit the form. They can just provide their feedback and send an
you
email
can
directly
just
to
write
them.
to the
So
speakers.
we made the form accessible without registration link, so you can see the form without adding any personal information, and there are only
Yeah, but
shortly
I think
required
some
fields.
organizations just block the access to Google.
Yeah.
Ah,
So it's about Google. So it's about the recommendation is to move to Nextcloud. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
We will share. You have also our emails, so feel free, and we can share with you also all the question in the form in a Word document.
Yeah, maybe
or some
you
other
can send a
plain text.
PDF or something.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay. Question from Alan O'Kais. Are you talking to the EuroHPC Federation platform?
No.
And
Yes.
the answer is yes. So
Yes.
then there was a remark from Herbert Owen. I believe the importance of workflow is being overstressed in this talk, so our authors will get back to him. Now, did I miss anything? Yes, there are more questions coming in. A remark from Anne-Bernard Bedouet, perhaps consider more the engineering aspect from the industry regarding this subject. Okay.
Yes, that's a good point. In the description of the archetype, we also highlight, trying to highlight project and initiative, more industrial scope and target. But definitely is a good feedback. Sorry, Pascal.
And then there is a
there's one that
there is a remark from Barbara Cantalupo. Do you want to handle it?
I can repeat the question.
I can do that. I agree with the workflow design categorization, but I mainly see workflow as composition of different steps with different requirements for compute data interaction. Are you also considering this?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, as I said, all the archetype, let's call it like that we identified were more of trend and definition, but we know that there are building blocks below that are shared across different types. They're not unique, and they're reused. So definitely we saw the modularity of workflows. But the idea was also to provide the challenges and recommendations that were more cross-cutting across different workflow and domain to have more of a general representation.
Okay, so here currently we're displaying the link to the this Google form we've been talking about. You will all receive the link by email.
Yes.
So no need to hurry, and you will get it.
Yes.
We'll send that tomorrow. So I think now we need to close. So I'm going to quickly share my screen again. Yep. And just to tell you, well, first of all, I would like to thank our speakers for the huge efforts in putting this together. And then I really need to thank our audience because they were asked to do a lot of work today, but this is going to be very useful to us to build our white paper with your feedback, with the feedback from the community. So thank you, everyone. We are going to have our next webinar about federation, probably on the 10th of October. But I will, as usual, I will send an email to all our former attendees to announce the new webinar. The date is not fully known yet. So, well, thank you, everyone. You now have the email of our speakers. If you want to get back to them, ask questions, provide feedback, you can also get back to us, webinar at etp4hpc.eu. It works very well. It comes to my desk. So thanks. Hopefully see you again on the 10th of October, and have a good rest of the day. Anything you wanted to add, Marco, Saga? No.
Thank you to the
You're relieved
ATP.
it's over.
Yeah, no, thank you to ETP4HPC for having us here and all this organization and excellent work. Thank you, Pascal. For that.
Thank you, Marco.
It was our pleasure.
Thank you, Sagar. Yeah, looking forward to
Thank you
continuing
all.
this work with you.
Yes.
Yeah, see you all. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Everyone, bye-bye.